where does creation fit into the whole aspect of non-duality?
The non-dual understanding suggests that reality is one, singular, indivisible, not constituted of parts. It's whole, it's complete. And being one, there's nothing in itself with which it could be either divided out or limited. If you think of, imagine physical space, the vast physical space of the universe, before there was anything in it. It's not too accurate a model, but just imagine the vast physical space of the universe, before there was any physics, objects, galaxies. All there is physical space. There's nothing in that space with which the space could be divided. You can't make a wall out of empty space. A wall made out of empty space wouldn't divide anything from anything. And likewise, there would be nothing to limit the space, no edge, no border, so the space would be unlimited. It's like that. The non-dual understanding suggests that reality is one, seamless, indivisible, whole, complete, infinite, without limit, and perfect. There's nothing in itself other than itself which would tarnish it or could be an imperfection. And this is not an abstract idea of some other realm apart from this realm. Okay. Reality is that which truly is, not that which truly is in another universe, as opposed to this universe where there are a multiplicity and diversity of objects and people all made out of matter. No. It means that reality, all that there truly is, here, now, in this realm, it is only one infinite, indivisible, whole, whose nature is being, or being aware being, consciousness. Consciousness is the stuff that is reality, and that is all there is. All there is consciousness. And consciousness is inherently then like empty space before the appearance of any object. Within empty spaces is empty. There's no form there. There's no sight, no shape. And consciousness is like that. And actually this is in fact our experience. If we go directly, if we go to our thoughts, feelings, sensations, perceptions, there is form there is duration, there are qualities. But if we go directly to the experience of being aware, there's no qualities there. It's formless. So to your question now, so how does creation come about? If that which truly is infinite, indivisible, and formless, how do we account for all of this? There is undoubtedly experience. We may not be experiencing a world, but even if this isn't a world, it is undoubtedly an experience. There is something here. There's not nothing here. There's something. So how do we account for that? If for the sake, how does the non-dual understanding account for this? If at the same time we say that reality, that which truly is without form. So the non-dual understanding suggests that reality, the infinite consciousness, is without form, but it contains all possible forms, all possible experiences within itself in potential, that they are unmanifest. It's just a realm of infinite potential. Now, in order to manifest any of that formless potential in form. Consciousness has to divide itself, or seem to divide itself, into a subject and an object. The appearance and duality. Now, why is this? It's because in order for anything to be experienced or known, that thing must be known in subject-object relationship. Why can't you see your own eyes? Because your eyes can't stand apart from themselves and look back at themselves. You can see me because you stand at a distance from me. You can see the cameras, the lights, the windows, the sky, the tree. You can see everything that stands at a distance from yourself. But the only thing your eyes can't see are themselves, because seeing requires a subject and an object. And all experience, all knowledge and experience take place in subject-object relationship. In order to know an object, be that object a thought, an emotion, memory, a tree, all knowledge and experience takes place in subject-object relationship, which requires the subject standing apart from the object. So what duality, or the subject-object relationship, is the mechanism through which objective experience is known. So the subject-object relationship is the mechanism through which the potential that lies in consciousness is brought out into manifestation. So consciousness divides, or seems to divide itself into a subject that knows and an object that is known. So it divides itself into a perceiver and a perceived. And it's only from the point of view of the perceiver that it can know objective experience. And this is exactly the mechanism that takes place when you had a dream at night. You imagine that you fall asleep at home here in New York, but you dream that you're in London, walking on the streets of London. Now, your own mind, I'm talking now about your limited mind, but it's an analogy for consciousness. But your own limited mind is a single homogeneous field of consciousness, albeit a limited field. But nevertheless, you dream the streets of London within your own mind, but you don't view the streets of London from your bed here in New York. In order to view the dreamed world, the streets of London, your own mind not only creates or imagines the streets of London within itself, it localizes itself on the streets of London within its own imagination as an apparently separate subject of experience, from whose point of view it perceives itself, or finite mind, as an outside world. When you wake up, you realize there was no outside world there. There was no real division. My mind didn't really divide itself into two parts. My mind is always a whole. But from the point of view of the person that you seemed to be in a dream, your consciousness, or the consciousness with which you were perceiving the streets of London, lived just behind your eyes in your head. And everything on the streets of London seemed to be outside your consciousness. And your experience seems to corroborate this. When you close your eyes, it is in your dream. You're on the streets of London. When you close your eyes, the streets of London disappear. When you open your eyes again, the streets of London reappear. So it seems reasonable to conclude that whatever it is that is perceiving lives just behind your eyes, in your brain. Of course, when you wake up, you realize, that the knowing with which I perceived the streets of London didn't reside in my body. It didn't reside in my brain. It didn't reside anywhere in the time and space that seemed to be real on the streets of London. It lived in your mind asleep in New York. However, your mind couldn't access the dream directly. You can't be aware of your dream, the streets of London, directly from your bed in New York. You have to forget that you're sleeping in New York. You have to localize yourself within your own imagination. And it is only from the point of view of that localized mind that you are able to see what is in fact the inside of your own mind, but it appears as the outside world. Now, I would suggest this was a mechanism that it's exactly what happens, but one level up. That infinite consciousness imagines, as it were. It's a realm of infinite potential, but it imagines the universe in itself and simultaneously localizes itself within its own imagination as an apparently separate, finite mind, from whose point of view it looks at itself, its own activity, but it perceives it as the universe. Now, the difference between an individual, the dream that you had at night, is that you localize yourself as a single perceiver within your own dream. Whereas I would suggest that infinite consciousness localizes itself as numerous apparent perceivers. Of course, I say apparent because in reality there are no individual. That just as there's no, you don't really become a mind or individual mind on the streets of London in your own dream. You only seem to. Likewise, I would suggest consciousness seems to become numerous finite minds, and through each of their perceiving faculties, it perceives itself as the universe. So this subject-object mechanism is the means by which consciousness draws manifestation, draws existence out of being, draws manifestation out of potential. It's through this mechanism of subject-object relationship that what is in reality one, infinite, formless and indivisible, appears as many finite things. So, and that's the subject-object relationship is the mechanism of creation or manifestation. Now, so we could say that manifestation is the interface between infinite consciousness and the finite mind that it seems to become. Infinite consciousness by itself, prior to localizing itself as a finite mind, has no knowledge or experience because it cannot stand apart from itself. So all infinite consciousness knows is its own being. There's no objective knowledge. It knows nothing. It is everything, but it knows nothing. It experiences nothing. In order to experience something, it must localize itself and become an apparently separate experience. So manifestational creation is the interface between, it's where the finite mind meets. It's the interface between the finite mind and infinite consciousness, and that creates the illusion of a world, the illusion of a created world. Why do I say that? It's because nothing real other than infinite consciousness is really created. When a movie begins, the screen appears as a landscape, but no real landscape has been created. It's just the screen. When you had a dream at night, no real streets of London are created. It's just an appearance of the reality of your finite mind, relatively speaking. So nothing apart from infinite consciousness is created. It all takes place, as it were, in the imagination of infinite consciousness. It's all in the activity of infinite consciousness. So in the ultimate analysis, there's no creation. Nothing exists.